Hello Year 2, welcome to the last English video of the week. We will all be back together in school tomorrow and I can't wait to see you. Today we're going to have a reading focus in English, so we have a piece of text about the Great Fire of London to read and then some questions to answer all about it. Let's take a look. For today's English, you will need this sheet, which you can find in the resources. You can print it off if you like, or you can just read it on the screen. Either is absolutely fine. This is the text that you need to read, and it's all about the Great Fire of London. Now, there will be some words in here that the first time you come across them, you might not be able to read them, and you might need to sound them out. That is absolutely fine. Just do everything that we have learnt in Sounds Right to say the sounds and read the words. Sometimes you might need to say the sounds and then say the syllables, and then say the syllables to read the word. That is absolutely fine. Once you have read it through once, sounding out all the words and working out what everything says, you can read it again. And this time, hopefully, you will be able to read it a little bit quicker and a little bit more fluently. And you can keep doing this until you feel that you have done a really good job at reading it. Pause the video now so you can read it. Now it's time to answer the questions. I'm going to work through each one in turn and give you time to answer them. This is question 1. Pause the video while you read it. Okay, welcome back. The question says, where did the fire begin? And we can tell that this is a Rex Retriever question. If we look at the little picture of the dog, we can see that the dog is going to retrieve the stick. So we know we can just retrieve this answer from the text. We won't need to do any extra thinking. The answer will just be there. So you can look back at the text to find the answer. Look at the clues in the question. I would look for maybe the word fire and the word begin, or you might want to think of another word that means the same as begin. Maybe that's the word you might need to look for. But if you read the text, you will be able to find the answer. You can underline it before you write the answer down. Off you go. Welcome back. You should now have written down an answer to question 1, so we can move on to question 2. So question 2, you will recognise the dogs from our reading comprehension lessons at school. This is Victor vocabulary. So this question is all about words, vocabulary. So pause the video while you read the question. Welcome back. It says, can you find an adverb in the text? So you need to think about what an adverb is. We have learnt all about adverbs in English. We know that they are words that tell us how something happens. They describe a verb. And a good way to spot them is that they end in the suffix ly. So have a little look in the text. Can you spot any adverbs? And I think there are more than one, so you might get extra points if you get them all. Pause the video and write down your answers. Welcome back. We are now ready for question 3. And from the picture, you can see this is a sequencing Suki question. You can see she is putting her bones in order. 1 bone, 2 bones, 3 bones. So that is what this question will all be about. Something about things in the right order. So pause the video and read the question. Okay, welcome back. The question says, can you draw lines to match up the events and the day they happened? So on one side we have the days and on the other side we have the events. So the days to choose from are Sunday, then we have Monday and Tuesday, and finally Wednesday. And the events are the fire was put out, the fire began, and the fire spread. So which of those things happened on which day? Pause the video to draw the lines to match them. Or if you're just using a piece of paper, you can just write them down. Off you go. Welcome back. Now we should be ready for question 4, and we can see that this is a predicting question. You can see predicting Pip looking into her crystal ball. So you need to use the information from the text to predict what might happen next. So pause the video and read the question. Welcome back. So the question says, what do you think the new buildings were built from and why? So use the information from the text and the information you might have already learnt about the Great Fire of London and think about what those new buildings might have been made from and why. What is the reason for that? Pause the video and write down your answer. So let's have a little look at the answers. Let's have a go at working them out together and you can see if you got them right. So the first question said, where did the fire begin? And I said we would need to look at this word and maybe think of other words that mean the same thing if we can't find that word in the text. So I thought that maybe we would have to look for start. And then I thought that it could be in the past tense because the Great Fire of London happened a long time ago. So we might be looking for the word began or the word started. So I'm going to read the text from the beginning and see if I can find any of those words. On Sunday, the 2nd of September, 1666, a fire began in a bakery. So here's the answer. A fire began in a bakery on Pudding Lane in London. So we've got a bit of extra information there. So that is your answer. In a bakery on Pudding Lane in London. So you can give yourself a tick if you got that right. In fact, you could have 3 ticks. 1 for a bakery, 1 for Pudding Lane, and 1 for in London. Let's have a look at question 2. So question 2 was a vocabulary question. Can you find an adverb in the text? So we know that adverbs describe verbs. They tell us how something happens or sometimes when something happens. And my clue was that they often end in ly. So I'm going to read through the text and have a little look. What you can do, instead of reading every word, is that you can just scan for some LYs. So you don't have to read every word, you can just look through and let your eyes move across until you spot an LY word. So that's what I'm going to do, and you can follow my little yellow pen moving across the page. Just looking for an LY. Oh, here we go. LY on the end of this word, easily. So now I'm going to read the sentence to check, because we know that sometimes ly words are not adverbs. We have to be careful. Words like lovely end in ly, but they are actually adjectives. So let's read the sentence. I'll go back to the beginning of the sentence here. In 1666, buildings in London were made of wood and built very close together, which meant the fire could spread easily. So easily is an adverb because it's describing the word spread. Spread is our verb. That is what the fire is doing. and easily is the adverb that describes it. So you should have written down easily. Okay, let's have a look to see if there are any more. So I'm going to just keep scanning and looking for ly. Oh, here we go. Luckily. Now let's have a look. Let's read the whole sentence. Luckily, on Wednesday, the wind stopped and the fire was finally put out. So the verb in this sentence is stopped. And luckily is the adverb describing stopped. We know that it was lucky that the fire stopped. So luckily is another adverb. And actually there is another one in this sentence. Finally. The fire was finally put out. So put out, that's our verb. And finally is describing the verb. It's describing when that happened. So this one is a time adverb. Well done. If you got all three of those, you can have 3 ticks. So now it is time to have a look at question 3. Can you draw lines to match up the events and the day they happened? So we can look at the days. We've got Sunday, then we've got Monday and Tuesday, and then we've got Wednesday. So these days are in order, which is helpful. And now we can have a look at these events and we can put these in order. So which one of these happened first? That's it, the fire began. So we should have linked up the fire began with Sunday. And we can see, we can double check that up here. On Sunday, 2nd of September, a fire began. Okay, so the next days we're looking for are Monday and Tuesday. Let's have a little look through so we can scan again. Don't have to read every word. We can just look for the words Monday and Tuesday. Here they are, Monday and Tuesday. Then if we read the whole sentence, the fire carried on spreading on Monday and Tuesday. So the fire spread is the one that goes here, which means it is very likely that the fire was put out on Wednesday. But it's always a good idea to check it in the text, just in case you have got one of the others wrong. So let's just double check that. We're going to look for Wednesday. So carry on from where we got to. Here we go, Wednesday. Luckily on Wednesday, the wind stopped and the fire was finally put out. So the fire was put out on the Wednesday. And finally, we will look at the last question. So you can remember this one is a prediction question. We've got predicting Pip here, looking into her crystal ball to see what's going to happen in the future. So the question says, what do you think the new buildings were built from and why? So the first thing we need to do is to find out what the old buildings were built from. So let's have a little look through the text to see if we can find maybe the word built, or the word build, or the word buildings. Let's have a look. We've got buildings here. The fire soon spread to other buildings. Okay, that's not telling us what they were made from. And buildings again. Let's read the whole sentence. In 1666, buildings in London were made of wood. Okay. So this is really helpful because we need to know what the old buildings were made from to help us think about what the new buildings might have been built from. So they were built from wood. What was the problem with them being built from wood? What happened? What do we know about wood, which means they're not very good for buildings? That's it. Wood burns really easily. So the new buildings need to be built from something that doesn't burn as easily as wood. And you can also use your knowledge of the world nowadays and think about what our houses are mostly built from? Most houses these days are built from brick or stone. And brick and stone doesn't burn in the same way that wood does. So your answer would be the new buildings were built from brick or stone because it wouldn't burn as easily as wood. That's all for today. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.